Hey, this is Gary, and welcome back to my channel for making a 2D framework using LibGdx. Today we're going to go back to our color effect, and I've actually updated that and changed it to just be effect so that we can add other types of effects to our animation and motions. And so to do that, I've changed out the get color and added an update animation and update motion. And so like the color effect will have the update animation. So we'll just call the animation set color, and motion does the same thing, set the color. And so in the animation interface, I've added an add effects. So that will add that effects. And then the base animation, so putting this in here, I don't have to change any of my other animations. So I have a list of effects, and then the add effects, check to see if the effects list is null. It creates a new one if it's not, and then just adds that effect to it. So the motion is the same. I changed the set color effect to add effects. So in the base motion, I've changed the set color effect to add effects. And that doesn't have a list of effects in it. It just passes that down to the animation. And so it just goes through the list of animations and adds that same effect object. And so as your effect changes, and if you change your direction so you have a different motion, it will have the same effect object. And so your effect would stay at that same part of the change in the effect. The next thing I added was a reset method. It loops through the animation and calls the animations reset method. So that reset is here in our interface, and then base animation has the reset, and what it does, it checks to see if the effects are not equal to null, and then it will loop through and call the effects reset method. And then there's a reset method in the interface. And as you saw previously, we have a reset method in the actor class, and now it will go through the move motions and the still motions and call those reset methods. I made some updates to the effects API. So I created a base effects class, and the basic effects class will have a list of durations. It'll keep track of the current duration and the current index and the current time. And then it'll implement the isDone method using the current index as if it's greater than or equal to the duration.size, then it's done. And then I have a base reset, which will set the current duration equal to the duration of 0, current index and time back to 0. And so color effect has been updated to extend the based effect. And I've added a new effect called Translucency effect. And what this does is it changes the translucency of an animation over time. So the first constructor takes a translucency and a duration, adds that to the translucency, which the add translucency method just adds it to the two arrays. Back to our constructor, it calculates the current change, which is that base translucency minus the translucency passed in, sets our current duration to the duration, and this one assumes that the base translucency is 1 opaque. Our second constructor takes two translucencies. The first one becomes our starting translucency, which sets it to the base translucency and to the start translucency, so that if we reset, we can reset it back to that initial value. Calls the add translucency, and then calculates the current change, and then sets the current duration. And I'm going to jump down here to the update method. It'll take the delta time, add it to the current time. If the current time is greater than or equal to your current duration, we're going to update the translucency. And translucency, what it does, like you saw on the color effects change, is that it calculates the percentage, and then it takes the base translucency and then minus the percentage times the current change to get the current translucency. Once you've exceeded your duration for that entry, it increases the current index. Make sure that you're still within the bounds of your list. Set your new current duration. Sets the base translucency to the previous one, which is the current state. And then it calculates the new current change, base translucency minus the translucency of the next index. And it sets the current time equal to the delta time, and then it calls the update translucency. And if it's already exceeded all the entries in our list, what it does is it sets the current translucency equal to the last translucency in our list. So if you get a translucency that's over the current time but hasn't yet gone to the full current duration, it'll set it to that translucency. So in the color effect, I did the same thing, that if you go over, it sets the current render color equal to that last color so that you have that last color when it's done. Back in translucency, we have the reset. It calls the base reset. The color effect also calls the base reset, sets that base translucency back to 1. And if our start translucency does not equal -1, then it uses that start translucency to equal the base translucency. Current change calculates that and sets our current translucency to 1. So let's start updating to our new effects class. So now our move motion, we need to change this to add effect. In the still motion, also add effect. So in our enemy manager, I'm going to make some updates here. So we have a flag for when the enemy gets added. So these obstacles, I'm going to turn those off when the enemy ship gets added. And I'm going to update this time to 100 so that we can actually see our new effect that we're going to add to our obstacles. Okay, now we're going to make an update to our obstacles so that when they get hit, they'll turn red and then they'll become transparent over time. So we're going to be updating our obstacle factory. Currently, the move motion, destroy motion are the same for every object. And since it's now going to have a transparency, we're going to have to make that unique for each object. So we're going to have to update the build move motion. So here's our move motion and our destroy motion. Now that move motion is just a brown block. So we're going to create a class level variable since that's going to not change. Block animation. And then here we'll just do the animation dot set color to brown. And our motion destroy, we're going to set that color to red. And then we're going to create a translucency effect. We'll do a new translucency effect. So we're going to start by having it remain opaque for 1 second. Our effect destroy, we're going to add another translucency where it'll go to 0 after 1 second. So that's a 2-second cycle where it'll be red. And then we'll add our effect. We'll create a new motion array. We'll have our motion move and motion destroy. And then on our constructor, we don't need the motion destroy here. In our animation, going to equal a new block animation, 20 by 20. Oops, 20. And so this motion is going to be our still motion, and that will just be a single motion. And we'll just add our animation to that. And that one's actually not used in the screen because the blocks constantly move. All right, let's give that a test. And we've got our ship moving, the obstacles coming. And watch them when they get hit. Close to the top. There you go, that one went transparent. Okay, I've just made an update to our ActorFactory. So the ActorFactory now takes a forged actor instead of just an actor. And so what this allows us to do, that when we do create new actor, we do our construct method, and then we take that forged actor and we set the ActorFactory in it. So we don't have to add that as part of our code. It's done automatically. So it does the same thing in the setup queue. When it does a construct, it then calls the set ActorFactory and passes that in. Now the forged actor, it just extends actor, and it has a protected attribute of ActorFactory, and it has a set ActorFactory method, and then the set remove method has been updated so that it will call the super set remove, and then it would call factory.actorRemove and pass this in. And so we don't have to do that within our code. So now we need to update our obstacle factory and our laser factory accordingly. And to do that, we actually need to update our laser to be a forged actor. And so we don't have to call the sprite removed anymore. And that method had actually been changed to actor removed. So that's no longer needed because when we call set remove, it will do that for us. And then the constructor, we no longer need to pass in the laser factory, so we can remove that. That will be handled by the framework. And the laser factory itself we don't need, so we'll remove that. So in laser factory itself, when we construct the new laser, we don't need to pass this, because that will be set for us. Then we'll go into obstacle. We need to update that to a forged actor. And we don't need to pass in the obstacle factory in the constructor anymore. Correction here, that's supposed to be y plus height, not minus height. We don't need to call the actor removed, sprite removed in either of these places, as self set remove will do that for us. Then in obstacle factory, we just need to update the call to the constructor. Don't need to pass this in. And the next piece we want to do is have our enemy ship fire back. So I've added some assets. So I've added a bullet animation to it, and I've added the ship getting hit, and then I have an enemy laser, enemy getting hit, enemy laser sound, and enemy laser sound 2. So I have 2 different types of enemy lasers. So what we're going to have to do is update our base ship, and we're going to have to add a sound for the ship getting hit. So we'll add a hit sound for the ship. We will set the sound hit sound equals our hit sound passed in. And then here, when we get hit, we're going to do our hit sound dot play. And then in our ship, we need to add that sound to our constructor. And then we just add that here. Actually, we should call that hit sound, not hit ship. We update the enemy ship. Sound, hit sound. Pass that in here. And then in our shoot 'em up screen, we're going to get the sound. And that is ship hit dot wave. Then our enemy ship, we're going to add our sound down here. Do our get sound. And that is enemy hit dot wave. Okay, I'm going to take all of this code. This is just for building the enemy ship. I'm going to create that as its own method. Do enemy ship. So that will build our enemy ship, everything we need for it. Now the next piece we need to do is create our bullet object for the enemy to fire. And that's going to extend our forged actor. We'll create our constructor passing in those 3 elements. And then we'll need to override the update method. Here, if the y plus the height is less than our 0, which means we fell off the bottom of the screen. We just need to set remove to true. And then we'll want to handle our collision. Here, if the other is instance of a laser, we don't want it to collide, so we just want it to return. If our other is an instance of the ship, we'll take our ship and then call hit. And the next thing we need to build to get this to work is our bullet factory. That's going to extend our ActorFactory, and that's going to take a bullet. And we'll need a texture region, single array for the bullet. And we'll have our constructor that takes the base screen and the texture region of the bullet. Set those 2 values. We need to set our queue size. We're going to start off with 20 of those, and then we'll set up the queue. We need to implement our abstract methods. So our movement, we're going to do a script movement. We're going to do a new, we're just going to use the move action, set our direction south, and we're going to do a speed of 4. Let's return our movement, and then our build move motion, do a new motion array, new single motion with a new loop animation, new 0.1 for our duration, and we'll take the bullet texture region. And in our build still motion, We can just return null because that's not going to be used. Then our construct method, we will turn our new bullet, and then we'll do our build movement, our build move motions, and our build still motions. And then for the build still motions, we'll just call build move motions. So that's our bullet factory. Now in our enemy ship, we're going to have to add information for the bullets. We'll need the bullet factory. We have a counter for our bullet time. We have a flag for when we're firing. And we'll have a counter for our bullets so that we have the right number. Enemy ship. We'll need to take the bullet factory. Let's equal our factory. Now in our update child, we're going to have to keep track of our bullet time. So we'll keep adding to the delta time to that. And if we're not firing and our bullet time is greater than 2 seconds, this is when we'll do our firing bullet count. We're going to increase that by 1, set our firing to true. We'll have an else if we're firing. And here we're going to add our bullets. And here we're going to add our bullets to the screen. So if our bullet time is greater than, we're going to do 0.2 seconds. So every 0.2 seconds, we'll fire off another bullet. We'll update our bullet count. We'll reset our bullet time to 0 so that we can keep track of that. Now our ship has a width of 100 pixels. And so what we're going to do is create our bullets. You get our bullets factory. We're going to create a new actor. We're going to get the X location. And we're going to add 25 to that. And then we'll get our Y location. And then we're going to put down 16 pixels so that it shows up below the ship. So this is going to put 25 pixels to from the left side. And then we'll copy that down, and then we'll have it 25 pixels also from the right side. All right, and then we need to keep track of how many bullets we fire. So we're going to have another if condition. So if our bullet count is greater than 9, so we'll have essentially 9 bullets. I think it's about 10 bullets. We start with 0. Yeah, so we start off with 0. It'll fire that 1, and it'll check. It'll increase it to 1, and so when we get to 10, it will fire it off 10 bullets at that point. So once we hit that point, we'll set our firing back to false. We'll set our bullet time back down to 0. And we'll start that counter over, and then we'll set our bullet count also to 0. Now we're going to make an update to our enemy manager. So it was waiting for 100 seconds before it does anything. We'll do is set that to 5 seconds so our ship shows up sooner. Now we need to go back into our shoot 'em up screen and create another private method that's going to create our bullet factory. And here we're going to get our texture region, which will be a double array. That's going to be bullets equal our texture region split. We're going to get our texture. Our texture name is bullet.png, and our width is going to be 15 by 15. And then we'll return a new bullet factory, pass in this, our base screen, and we're going to take our bullets and we'll take the first element from that array down here in our enemy ship. Now we just need to call that build bullet factory, and now it's all set. All right, let's give that a test run. Our ship, lasers or obstacles. There's the ship coming down, and he'll start shooting, and there's the bullets. Now the spacing is based off of how fast we have it coming out from the ship, and so we can make that a shorter time or a longer time depending on how close we want the bullets to each other. And you can see that they're going back and forth with the ship. So that's how that works. So now you can actually change up how you want the ship to move by adjusting the script movements and have it go in any type of pattern that you want. And you can adjust the bullets, like in our bullet factory, where we have our move action. We can change the speed of how fast they come down. And then in the enemy ship, where we have our create new actor, we can change the time that each new bullet comes out so they can come out and quicker or more spaced out. And so that's pretty much the basics of a shoot 'em up. So that's going to do it for this video. And if you have any comments or suggestions, just put them in the comments down below. And feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.